If you're building a team in the Philippines and you have issues with slow internet connections for your staff members working at home, well, Starlink might just be the solution for you. It's just been released in the Philippines, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Starlink by now. It's Elon Musk's satellite company, which is creating a simplified version of internet access without any need for ground infrastructure, meaning that you are able to get access to the internet pretty much wherever you are, as long as you're in a supported country. And I've actually been using Starlink on my adventure truck as I've been traveling around Australia from time to time to get access to internet when I'm off the grid and away from civilization. Now, funnily enough, I actually happen to be in the Philippines at the moment. I haven't tested Starlink out here yet, but Starlink has recently been activated for the country. And that's a pretty big deal because the Philippines, like many areas in Southeast Asia, has had challenges with internet and internet infrastructure. Getting internet and getting reliable internet to over 110 million people in this country is obviously a pretty big task. And Elon Musk and the Starlink team switching on the system for the Philippines means that for some of your team who may be working at home and may have challenges with a local internet connection that is reliable or that is fast, well, Starlink might be a good option. So what's the difference between using something like Starlink and a local wide internet connection? Well, Starlink is obviously satellite based, but there's a key difference between previous legacy satellite systems and Starlink. Now, in the past, the satellite system would be slow because the satellites are quite far away from the Earth, and there's something called the ping or latency, which is basically the time that a message takes to get from your computer up to, from your router, the satellite, and then back down to Earth to the actual servers where the website or the internet service that you're trying to access is located. Starlink is different because they use low orbit satellites, so they're much closer to the Earth. And so when a message gets sent, it's very quick to bounce up to the satellite and bounce back to a ground station somewhere in the country that you're working from. Now, I've used this personally as I've been traveling in my truck, and I've actually been able to host live streams. I've been able to watch Netflix. I've been able to do all of my normal work in speeds that were, to be honest, pretty comparable to my home internet connection. Now, Australia's internet is not the world's best, although I do have a fiber connection and I've got a 100 megabit download and a 40 megabit upload on my home connection. Now, Starlink was able to rival and at sometimes exceed those speeds while I was on the road in a camper truck, which was pretty impressive. Now, the speeds have been a little bit up and down as more customers have been added to the network, but as Starlink builds out their constellation of satellite, those speeds are improving and they're adding more and more ground stations as well, which mean that there is overall, more throughput being added to the network. Now, in the Philippines, you've got a choice now between Starlink and local wide or wireless connected internet solutions. Now, of course, there's 4G and 5G solutions, but they tend to not have enough data available on an affordable plan for most people to use it for day-to-day use. When you're using something like Zoom or Google Meet for your meetings, very quickly you can use a couple of gigabytes or more per hour of bandwidth, and for a mobile data plan that maybe only has 30 or even 40 gigabytes per month, you can very quickly go through that in a couple of days. So you're then left with the option of a local wired connection, whether that's a copper-based connection or a fiber to the home connection. And the Philippines actually has quite a lot of fiber running to houses. However, the back-end infrastructure actually getting that fiber back to the internet service provider, back through sometimes undersea cables if you're on an island somewhere, back to the hub and then out of the country to other countries can sometimes be a little bit problematic. And that's where Starlink comes in. Rather than having a small community trying to share fiber links on, one street that may have hundreds or even thousands of people in a local area, Starlink allows you to have a lot more bandwidth and throughput, and it skips a lot of the local challenges that you have with infrastructure, like cables potentially being disconnected, power outages affecting local exchanges and therefore affecting throughput. And then from time to time, there are, more likely to be natural disasters in the Philippines. You've got typhoons. Every now and again, there's earthquakes or hurricanes, and they can actually cause issues with internet connectivity when an undersea cable is disrupted. So Starlink solves a number of those problems by removing some of the local hardware needed to get access to the internet, and that can mean that a more reliable internet connection is a bit easier to get to. But personally, Starlink is still untested for me here in the Philippines. It's working great back in Australia, and I can only assume it will work well here, but I personally haven't tested it yet. The thing that I love about Starlink in particular is we have many of our team members who want to work at home around their family. And if you're building a team in the Philippines, you would know that family is a very important cultural value for Philippines teams. And so if they want to live in the province or they want to live on an island somewhere, that means that they may not have the same kind of infrastructure and internet backbone that you would have living in a major city. And being able to avoid the commute, spend time with family, and have a little bit more of a leisurely lifestyle when you've got the openness of a beautiful country like the Philippines, well, it makes sense to live where you want to live, but still be able to work. And the biggest challenge that we've always had is for someone who lives outside of a metro area, the internet connection can really stink. Starlink will hopefully be solving that for many of our team, and hopefully that'll open up some new opportunities for talent for you, as well as opening up more work from home opportunities to Philippines-based employees. Now, what's the cost? Well, compared to a local internet connection from a wide or a fiber provider, I've got to say it's a little bit more expensive, and that can sometimes be cost prohibitive. For our team members that work in multimedia, like video editing, or they're working with any heavy files, they tend to be already spending around 100 Australian dollars a month for a dedicated fiber connection for their home. But the Starlink is a little bit more than that, 2, sometimes 3 times more expensive than that, depending on the plan and depending on the hardware. And the cost of the hardware is also an upfront initial investment, which can be a barrier to entry as well. It's around 700 Australian dollars to purchase the hardware. There are rental options becoming available, but right now that can be a barrier to entry. But the ongoing cost at a couple $100 a month is not too bad. That means that you're able to get dedicated high-speed internet, which is going to be probably a lot more reliable than something that is based over the ground if you are in an area which doesn't have great internet backbone infrastructure. Now, if you've got a business or an office location here, you may even consider Starlink Business. Co-working spaces, I expect, will start to roll out solutions like this. It's a lot more expensive. You've got to pay a couple of $1,000s for the hardware, and then it costs you around the $500 per month mark. But that solution is going to give you more speed and more bandwidth, and of course, dedicated uptimes and dedicated service level agreements, so you can be ensured that the speed is going to be more reliable. Now, probably out of reach for someone to use in their home, but may be more suitable for a co-working space or for an office that has a dedicated location. I expect that Starlink will be an easy way to get access to the internet in the Philippines, especially considering there is a lot of bureaucracy, red tape, and just customer service challenges with that many users being supported from their 2 largest telcos. And so this is a nice third option being added to the mix of many telcos here, but hopefully a third large player here in the Philippines, and opening up more opportunities for remote work. I'm hoping this will further transform the remote work landscape. The Philippines has already had quite an amazing culture of opening up talent to the world. And so it'll be very interesting to see where we go with more access to the internet, more people able to get online and work together for international companies, more international companies being able to get access to amazing talent here in the Philippines. And we'll see where that goes for the remote work landscape. Is it going to change things? I don't know. If you've got access to Starlink right now, let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you've got a team there in the Philippines, maybe it's something that you want to consider getting them on board with. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.
If you like this content, please hit subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can be notified when we go live or drop new content on the channel. Now, if you'd like to connect with us, hit us up on social media or join our free community group. All the links to that are right below this video. If you'd like to learn more about Google Workspace and the technology ecosystem, you can join our free Genius Academy by transferring your billing across to itGenius. Or you can join a Workspace Basics Bootcamp. Now, if you're a business owner and you're interested in an audit on your technology stack or your Workspace account, or you're looking to do a project in the tech world, well, you can take advantage of our free consultation. And if you need help right now, then consider joining Concierge or taking up a quick fix with our team for professional support for your tech stack.